Hey everyone, welcome to Direct to Disaster. So when you think of things included in a board game, what do you usually think of? Dice, cards, tokens, money, the board to play it on. How about a VHS? Yeah, during the mid-80s and early 90s, several game companies actually came up with the idea to combine board games and videotapes. After all, the video business was booming and video games were recovering from the huge crash a few years ago, so it was inevitable that the next logical step was to take a video and base a board game around it. What? It makes perfect sense to me. I'd say they were like the DVD games we have today, but they were more like the full-motion video games of the early 90s. A lot of video with not a lot of choice. Remember when video game companies thought that people would buy games just to watch the craptastic videos on them?
You're gonna owe me big dog meat. And what's my payback? 1,000,000 pounds of tube steak.
Well, it turns out that this craze actually started several years before the games were even made. These things flooded the market. You think my collection is big? This doesn't even dent the amount of titles they had out back then. They were considered a cheap alternative to video games and computers. You could either spend $300 for an NES that one or two people could play at a time, or you could spend $40 on a game that the whole family could enjoy. And like FMV games, these had a lot of video, a lot of cheesiness, and not a lot of gameplay. They arrived on the scene, sat around for a while, and then were tossed into the garbage can. So do these games really deserve to be considered a failure in video gaming and marketing history? Let's find out. First up, the Star Trek The Next Generation interactive VCR board game A Klingon Challenge. Rolls right off the tongue. All the basic game pieces, board, dice, tokens, tricorders, because all the best games need to have a tricorder, and of course, the video cassette required to even begin to understand what you're doing with this game. The movie starts with the voice of Commander Riker explaining that the Enterprise has been dry docked and almost the entire crew is on shore leave.
First Officer's Log, Stardate 49253.5, Commander William Riker reporting. 3 days ago, the Enterprise docked at Starbase 7-4 to undergo repairs to a damaged computer core that has been causing erratic performance in low-level computer functions. The ship is practically empty, except for a few crew members assigned to direct the Starbase repair teams. Captain Picard granted shore leave to all personnel.
However, the Klingon Kavak hijacks the Enterprise and blasts off into Klingon space, thinking this will start a war between the Federation and the Klingon Empire. So, let me get this straight. The Enterprise, the flagship of the entire Federation, is stolen and nobody notices? Commander Riker explicitly states that he's monitoring repairs aboard the ship, so absolutely nothing tips him off that the Enterprise has been stolen? In fact, throughout this entire tape, we're never given any sign that the Federation is doing anything. I guess that feeds the theory that the Federation has a grand total of 2 ships in their fleet. Instead, the Federation's last hope rests on a handful of crew members who stayed behind on the ship. And that's where the game starts. You set up the cards and die, put a phaser where it needs to be, give a tricorder to each player, determine your rank and color, set your piece down on a computer access space and draw a card, and set out on your quest to get to the bridge and save life as we know it. The game also makes it clear that each player has to wear their official rank pin and communicator stickers, just to add to the experience. So once you've done all that, how do you play? Easy. You roll the die and move the number of spaces it tells you. If the space is blank, you're done. If it's a computer access space, you get a card. If it's a card with time on it, you can activate it when the exact time appears on the TV. However, 9 times out of 10, you forget you have the card and it becomes completely useless. If it tells you to enter a room, then the next time you land on that room, you get to enter and get an isolinear chip, which you need to win the game. If you land on a holodeck, you get a holodeck card, which lets you get assistance from a holographic crew member. However, you can't access the holodeck until you have an isolinear chip, so if you land on the space without it, you can't do anything. If you land on the turbo lift, you can take it to any other turbo lift, but you need 2 isolinear chips or it again doesn't work. If you end up in sick bay, you have to spend the next turn here. But landing in the brig is even worse since you're then detained for an entire minute. So you can continue rolling and collecting computer access cards to go into rooms and get more isolinear chips. Once you have 5 chips, you're able to access the bridge and take control of the ship. But you can't unless you have a phaser, so now you need to go to security and get a phaser. And once you have all that, you can finally go into a Jeffries tube to reach the bridge. Unless you somehow lose a chip or phaser, in which case you need to leave the tube and get the items again. Oh, and you need to take off your communicator while in here because otherwise Kavak detects you and sends you straight to the brig and you have to get there all over again. If you make it to the brig before Kavak, you've won the game. But if he makes it there before you do, then you need to pick up a token that tells you if you've either stunned him and won or try again on your next turn. I said it was easy, not simple. Oh, and I didn't even get to the VHS portion. You see, Kavak knows that you're still on the ship, and instead of cutting off life support or throwing you out of an airlock, decides it's more honorable to let you try to sabotage his entire plan. So every time he appears on screen, you have to drop everything and listen to what he says. Sometimes he forces you into sickbay or the brig, and sometimes he tells you to take the Klingon challenge, which is basically spinning this spinner and hoping it lands on computer access. If it lands on beige, or if Kavak tells you to
experience beige,
you get to draw a card that punishes you for existing. But if a malfunction appears while he's telling you, then it rewards you instead. This is actually the best part of the game, just watching this guy. That's Robert O'Reilly, the same actor who plays Gowron in Star Trek, and he is beyond over the top. I mean, there's chewing the scenery, and then there's this.
Ah! So this is the command center of the Starship Enterprise. And this must be Picard's chair. Kushtak Valor, ah? It is now. Luck is not with you humans. We just passed through a localized distortion in the space-time continuum. You have less time than you thought to stop me.
It's like he's playing How Far Can I Make My Eyes Pop Out? Oh, and even quotes Dirty Harry.
Make my millennium.
The Terminator.
I'll be back.
And Bogart.
All the starships, in all the galaxies, in all the universes. I had to choose this one.
What, no Sound of Music?
The hills are alive with the sound of music. Ah!
Like I said earlier, Kavak is making his way to the bridge, so you have about 20 minutes to beat him to the bridge and win, or you'll need to draw a token to determine if you win or not. But getting to the bridge with this game, you'll be lucky to even get there in an hour. Yeah, this game is timed. If you don't get there within 60 minutes, technically 50 since you fly through a few wormholes that speed up time, then the ship arrives at Kronos, the Klingons open fire, the Enterprise is destroyed, and everyone loses. On the other hand, if you win, then you stop the tape and you're declared the winner. And that's one of the problems with these games. They film the scene where you lose, but not if you win. Like, oh, we're not counting on the players winning that much, so let's just film this huge game over screen to rub it in. If they do win, let's not bother giving them a victory screen, just let them think they won. Actually, the game does give you a Medal of Valor sticker if you beat the game. But I don't think I've earned this. I mean, we never see Kavak brought to justice, and for all we know, he escaped the ship before he got anywhere. So, what did I accomplish? I pushed stop on the VCR, that's what I accomplished. So, yeah, I'm just gonna put this sticker back until...
Or chew!
Oh crap! For service above and beyond the call of duty and for saving our lives, we proudly award you the United Federation of Planets Medal of Valor. Congratulations. Live long and prosper. Now, in all seriousness, this game is actually really good. I wonder what the other games are like. So this is Gargoyles the movie, a re-editing of the first 5 episodes of the awesome TV show. Maybe I'll look at the movie section somewhere down the road, but for now, I'm just going to focus on the game they included in the last 25 minutes. Compared to the Star Trek game, this one's a lot simpler to play. It basically follows the plot of the movie as Xanatos is trying to conquer the world with mechanical gargoyles, and you need to guide the heroes to Xanatos' building and stop him. This time, the pieces are just a board, tokens, cards, and a spinner. You have 20 minutes to get from point A to point B before Xanatos unleashes his army on the world, so you need to spin the spinner and move your guy as fast as you can to beat this timer. And, like the other game, whenever lightning strikes, you gotta stop what you're doing and follow the instructions. Sometimes they help, sometimes they hurt, you just gotta pray you're in the right place at the right time. This time, the movie's pretty mediocre. Just a bunch of clips from the show spliced together to make it look like something cool is happening. Which it really isn't. For this game, it's the game itself that's hilarious. So you might be asking, how is a game that's just getting from A to B funny? Well, first of all, there's the cards. Like the video, some will send you forward, others will send you back, but it's what the cards say that make no sense. For example, you get involved in a game at a video arcade, lose a turn. Okay, what were the Gargoyles even doing inside an arcade to begin with? I mean, weren't they already occupied with, oh, I don't know, saving the world? And how did they manage to even play one of those machines without tearing it apart? The arcade I go to, the joystick comes off right in my hand. So how do super strong beings with claws manage it? And then there's an electronics store catches your eye and you stop to try out some gadgets. Hey, sorry the world's about to end, but they have Beats by Dr. Dre. And probably weirdest of all, you stop to watch the Disney Channel on a TV in a store window. So here's a question. Does their show exist in their universe? Can they just tune in and see what they're in for on that day? What if it's a rerun? And would the universe be able to handle the Gargoyles watching the Gargoyles, or would space and time fold in on itself and end the universe in a big fiery blast? Or am I just thinking about this too much? The second thing is a certain element of the board. You would think that with a game this simple, you'd get from start to finish in no time, right? Actually, no, because practically covering the map are these subway tunnels. Whenever you land on one, you have to follow the tunnel wherever it takes you. If you're lucky, it takes you forward. But 9 times out of 10, you land on one taking you backward, and you lose a lot of ground. Oh, but you can't possibly land on the space that much, could you? Well... Gargoyles even taking the subway? Wasn't it the idea that they're trying to hide from the other humans? Are people seriously going to be like, oh, there's a group of 8 feet tall monsters with 10-foot wingspans and abs that would put Undertaker to shame? It's Friday. Hello! You have wings! Use them! So again, if you win, your reward is to stop the tape and get on with your everyday life. If you lose, then Xanatos destroys everything in his path, but then it gives you a spell that allegedly rewinds the tape back to the beginning so that you can try again. All in all, the game's okay, but do they really think kids are stupid enough to shout, "Ode Windium Tapus!" and expect the movie to start from the... When you think of things included in a board game, what do you think of? Dice, cards, tokens, money, the board to play it on. Well, how about Didn't I do this a few minutes ago? Huh. Well, anyway, to its credit, these games have a lot of effort put into them, and they're really fun. But then there are games where you gotta wonder, did they even try? For example, this is the Three Stooges VCR board game. So what, did they get lookalikes to pretend to be the Stooges and give us some new shtick? Nope. They just take some random Stooges clips and scotch tape some sound effect balloons onto the scenes. I'd like to go into more detail about this one, but the instructions in my copy are missing and I have no idea what to do in this game. It has something to do with discarding cards when a sound effect pops up, but then why does it have tokens? And these cards? What's the purpose?
Well, at least the tape's watchable, so grab some popcorn, sit back, and enjoy some classic Stooge shtick.
I gotta get this water out! This ain't a house, it's a sieve!
What? It's funnier than the movie. Or maybe you'd prefer America's Funniest Home Videos, the game.
This is another game where the objective is just to get from A to B. In this case, the videotape comes packed with 90 minutes of old AFB clips, from the Bob Saget run. Each round, a player picks up a card and plays the game written on it. If it's video votes, you watch 3 clips and decide which one was the funniest. If someone agrees with you, you both go forward 1 space. Simple enough. If it's crazy caption, everyone plays the host and riffs on the clip by completing one of these phrases. Would you believe a man could fly? Neither did he. You'd think that the funniest wins, but it's actually who matches the most plays to their captions. So it's not a matter of humor, it's just a matter of knowing your friend's handwriting. And finally, there's the Q&A, which is just comprised of one player asking another questions about what they just saw. What Italian dish was mentioned? That would be fettuccine alfredo. Who putted the ball? That would be Paul. How many times was the boy's nose pinched? That would be 6 times. Would you like to go find something better to do than play this game? Yes, please. So the game's boring as hell, but at least the video's watchable. But then we have Rich Little's VCR Charades game. Yes, as if real-life charades weren't boring enough. The game this time is just tokens on a board. The gameplay? You play against the team on the tape, trying to guess what Rich Little is trying to mime. So if you've already seen the tape, you know exactly what the answer is going to be. And since the opponent is the TV, there's nothing stopping you from just taking your token and moving whether you got it right or not. And the movie itself is boring. I have no complaints against Rich Little as a person or a performer, but having to watch 2 hours of him playing one of the most boring party games of all time, it's about as fun as watching Robin Williams play hopscotch. Probably the worst game I've found is this game called Eyewitness. What do you do in this one? Well, you just watch one of the public domain clips they had lying around, write your own question about it, and whoever correctly guesses it moves ahead 1 space. Basically, the creators just went, we don't know what to do with this game. You think of something. Let's see. How about, is the movie in black and white? Yes. Is it from before 1990? Yes. Is it exciting at all? No. Is this really what you want to spend 2 hours on? Hell no! That's the worst part of these VCR games. The worst thing you can say about them is that they're boring. There's no glitches to point out, no continuity errors to complain about, no secret agendas of the writers to identify, just pure uninterestingness. And it's hard to talk about something that isn't there. On the other hand, there's no rewards, so no you win screen or plot resolution at the end of the game, so there's not even a reason to play this. Finally, we have Power, the board game. Technically, this isn't a VCR board game since the tape only includes the instructions, but there's something about it I want to address.
Congratulations. You've just purchased Power, the most innovative game of the 20th century, combining...
What is this? I mean, look at the box. The front promises us this huge command center with generals plotting their moves, technical readouts of weapons on the screen, and Reboot reruns? Instead, it looks like a cheap infomercial.
Every minute, 6 people in the world die from complications of diabetes.
I mean, they didn't have the budget to dress somebody up as a commanding officer and have him shout the directions at the player for a few minutes. Anybody could do that. I could do that.
All right, troops, you picked up this game, and now you're going to play it to the end. Now listen closely, I will only say this once. You will first set up the battlefield. Notice that the board is divided into grids, and each player has a spot specifically for the headquarters. Remember that, your lives will depend on it. Your recruitments will then arrive, consisting of 2 soldiers, 2 aeroplanes, 2 tanks, and 2 small destroyers. Each player has just 3 minutes to write down the moves of each unit. Each of you sorry-looking mama's boys should consider himself lucky that he has that long to make a move. Back in my day, if you took 3 minutes to make a move, the enemy will be washing you off their boots within 95 seconds. After you've all written down your moves, and not a second before, you will then move your troops to the square you've deployed them to. If you meet the enemy, you will engage in combat. The bigger army will conquer the smaller one and take the platoon hostage to be used to their own ends. This ain't no Hollywood spy movie. Cyanide capsules are not part of a soldier's K-rations. You will guide your troops to victory or see them indoctrinated to the enemy's inglorious way of life. Likewise, if you have captured the enemy troops, you can exchange them for more skilled pieces from Uncle Sam's military. For example, exchanging 3 tanks for a heavy tank, giving you less of a chance of failing in battle and your name becoming synonymous with defeat. Your mission is to blow away the enemy's armed forces, invade their headquarters, and capture their flag, ensuring defeat over those who would destroy our way of freedom and life. There is no room for error. This is no game of Monopoly. If you fail, you do not pass go. You do not collect $200. You will only taste defeat and the sting of the enemy's gunfire as it mows you down. So gather your troops, lead them to victory, and make your country proud. Dismissed!
You know, maybe we should have used the Norman Rockwell family.
What was that? Nothing?
So through this video we've played a few games. Some were with an actual board and pieces, some you had to use imagination, some were good, some were bad, and overall, I think they're fun. I mean, they're board games built around the idea of trying to tie a fixed video to real-life random movements, so the creators need a lot of imagination and planning to make these work. Sometimes they don't put any effort into it, and it sucks. But sometimes you get a unique experience that's really fun. And you know, I think they really did make an impact on pop culture.
You, green player!
Yes, partner.
You knew better than that, can't you?
Yes, partner.
Pick another player that you want to draw a
I choose
cactus
Anthony.
card.
Anthony, draw a card.
Oh, that...
Yeehaw!
Did you remember to say yeehaw? Anyone that didn't loses a turn.
It's another kind of art medium that sadly didn't take off very well, and I'd love to find more of these games to see how they made something fun out of something as fixed as a videotape. I'll probably go over more in the future, but until then, thanks for watching.
Oh.
What the? Who are you?
I am the gatekeeper.
Okay.
You are not done. You will never be done. Not until you have reviewed my games.
What, you mean these?
Yes. Now you will tell me exactly what you think of them.
No.
What?
Look, I already did the review, and I have a whole show to fill up. I'll review them another day. Besides, I haven't played this second one, and I think it's missing a few pieces.
So it's this, Dragon. You will play my games and tell the world about them, or I will banish you to the black.
Are you wearing a towel?
Oh?
Dude, I don't think I can take you seriously with a towel.
My robe isn't the cleaner's. You will make do with what you've got. Now you will review.
Yeah, whatever. I'm gonna get a carne asada.
You will not walk away from me, maggot. You will stay and... Wow. He ran off. I wasn't expecting that. You know, that carne asada does sound good. I think I'll take lunch.
So, tune in a few weeks when we tackle another game that's flooding the market. Till then, thanks for watching.
These are the biggest and baddest wrestlers in the entire world, and they're waiting to take you on in the ring.
Or you can take them on with Acclaim's VCR WrestleMania game. This board game and video cassette puts the wrestling superstars in your corner and gives you the greatest wrestling moves of all time. So go ahead, jump into the ring.
And with the VCR WrestleMania game, you can win. From Acclaim.
Experience Beige.
Beige, my god.